orange and blue. Boys will stand and cheer for you. Fight for institution, our alma mater, bravely defending BSU. Fight religiously for Boise State. Success and honor make our trade. White Spark condition as a competition. Glory for BSU. Celebrate the orange and blue. Boys will stand and cheer for you. Boys Spark tradition and set the edition. Glory BSU.
Hey, good evening, Bronco Nation. Hey, just wanted to come on live and kind of start a new spot that we have called Bronco Nation Live, geared to reach the fan base on your time schedule. Hopefully this is convenient for you. Today, lately we've had an awesome member on Bronco Nation Updates. His name is Sam Gillette. He's been consistently sharing content on guiding us fans on who to root for as we strive to make the college football playoffs. He has 15,771 points accumulated from the content that he shared on Bronco Nation Updates, and so I just wanted him to join us tonight, and we're going to go through his guide for football teams to root for this weekend that could have an impact on where we sit in the college football playoff rankings and also the season. We'll just kind of there's been a lot of confusion with those two items, so we are hopefully we'll be able to bring some education that will help people get up to speed when it comes to both of those factors. So just want to let you know that this spot is sponsored by our iconic member in the Serving Bronco Nation directory, Boosted Oxygen Water. They have partnered with us to donate to Boise State, and so I really appreciate them for that. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you to Sam.
Hey Nick, how's it going?
Good. Hey. So yeah. So I really been appreciating all the content you've been sharing. So can you let us get to know you a little bit and let us know how long you've been a fan, what brought you to being
I've been a fan since the day I was born. My dad and grandpa. My grandpa actually used to own Boise Paving and Asphalt, and they did the dirt work and the first cement lay, if I'm not mistaken, of the football field, the iconic blue football field, and President Club members for like 20 something years or so, and I was actually blessed enough to grow up underneath the heaters, up underneath the heaters up there, and watching the games and just outside of the elements. But that's my claim to Boise State fame right there, is my dad and grandpa. So
So they literally built the foundation that
yeah,
Bronco Nation
yep.
sits upon.
It's
Right on.
funny after the OU Fiesta Bowl, everyone, oh, you're just a bandwagon fan. No, no, I'm not.
I just want to, if you're watching this right now, it goes a lot smoother if you're on YouTube. I can see your comments and your questions better that way, just with the UI that we're working with. So if you have the ability to jump onto YouTube, that'd be great. And what we'll do is, as those comments come through, then we'll air them on the video here, and then. But with that, we have some games that we want to kind of highlight, and as Sam's going through those, I will be looking them up and picking them up and grabbing some stats for us as he goes through the cheer guide.
So tonight on, actually right now, is UNLV and San Jose State. Obviously, both teams winning is going to help us out some, but more importantly, UNLV, because they're currently ranked in the CFP, so we want them to keep winning and climb the ranks up there. I don't see San Jose State wanting to do too much other than protect their name. Boise State pretty much crushed their CFP hopes last week, and they don't have a chance. So this week I looked for the Rebels to win and boost their chances at CFP bids, but they got to get through Boise State.
Right, because right now they are ranked 24th in both the CFP and the AP, correct?
Correct. So all of my rankings and everything is just strictly CFP, though, just because that's the only poll that counts. So I, I don't have the AP poll pulled up on my end right now. But yeah, there they are right there at number 24. As long as they can win, the only if they lose, it just basically seals the deal for Colorado State in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. But if they win, they keep their lifeline alive, because being ranked 24, they could still, depending on what happens with Notre Dame and Army, they could still end up being in the CFP. And I think they're an 8.6% chance to make the playoffs right now, according to ESPN's All-State Playoff Predictor. So.
All right. And then we have next on your docket.
So this one here, I give it a reader's choice, just because it really doesn't matter who wins between number 5 Indiana and number 2 Ohio State. If Indiana wins, they'll probably move up to the 3, maybe the 4 spot. If Ohio State loses, they'll probably drop down to the 5 spot. Unless it's a blowout either way, there's really not going to be much movement there. Indiana's a 96.5% chance to make the playoffs, and Ohio State's a 94.1. It would take something catastrophic for both of them to miss out on that one. So, like I said, unless Indiana blows them out, or Ohio State blows Indiana out, I should say, there's not going to be much movement there that'll help us. It'll just affect seeding. It won't move us up any in the polls. Also, a loss here to Indiana by Ohio State, a loss will eliminate them from the Big Ten championship game, and Indiana will go in. If Ohio State wins, Indiana can still get into Penn State, can get into the Big Ten championship game if Ohio State loses to Michigan next week. So there's a lot that can
Ohio,
go on in the last 2 weeks in
yeah,
the conference
you know,
championship races.
Ohio's kind of lucky it's in their house, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
Indiana is a well coached team. They're a
yep,
great team. They have
yeah. I've
a
said
chip
it
on their
since.
shoulder, right?
Yeah, I've said it for the last 3 or 4 weeks now that Signetti, he's my front runner for coach of the year.
Yeah, yeah. It's just been incredible from what he did with James Madison, and then they came over. I was watching something today, and or no, I was listening to a radio program, and um, they are saying that like the way that he coaches and the the NIL is really a blessing to him because he's got all these players right that were passed up, and
Yeah,
they wound up at James Madison with him, and then when he took the Indiana job, they came over with him. So, um, they're playing with some mustard, man.
right, right. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that of the schools that have been beat up over the years. They're going to start picking up through NIL. The alumni is going to get tired of losing. They're going to start donating more, and they're going to start picking up some of these 3 and 4 star players that are riding the bench just to collect a paycheck, or not a paycheck, collect a ring, a championship ring or something. They're going to say, you know what, I can go over here and still make money, and I can still get recognition, and I can possibly get into a playoff game. And you're going to start seeing that as this NIL and portal starts leveling off. You're not going to have any cupcakes anymore by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, I really do think that, like, at first when it was first rolled out, we all thought that that these teams that are going to pay the max out to like all these players, like the college players making millions of dollars. I think we've kind of seen the opposite really happen,
Yeah,
and I think that the market's kind of come down to where it actually should be. Like um, you're going to see where they paid some of the premier people where they're spending a gobs of money, and they're not even making the college
right.
playoffs.
Yeah,
I see how that's just going to kind of help out, and especially when they expand the format and help out the group of five teams. Um, Players might go, you know what? Do I want a ring? Do I want a chance to play in the postseason, or do I want $100,000? I think
right.
that's a for the right, especially in our case where we um, our our angle is getting those OKGs,
Yeah,
um, where it's kind of weeding the seed from the chaff, right? So
right, right.
we're going to be able to get those players that are playing for a ring and not for
Yeah.
money.
So next up on the list is Wake Forest at number 8, Miami. Um, this has potential to be a trap game for the Hurricanes, but I'm not too high up on it. Uh, if Hurricane Hank shows up like he did against Florida State for us a couple of years ago, uh, it could be something special for Wake Forest. I know Wake Forest has to win out if they're going to make a bowl game this year, so they're going to have a lot of fight in them. But again, at a 24-point favorite, I don't really see Miami faltering, but they have faltered in the past, so we'll see what happens. Right now, ESPN's got them at a 63% chance to make the playoffs, so we'll see how that one plays out. Up next, we got Miami's got to win their last 2 games to make the ACC Conference Championship game too. Um, that race is between SMU, Miami, and Clemson, and Clemson surprisingly is still in it. I didn't think they were, but there's a scenario where they can sneak in based on tiebreakers, and it'll be Miami and Clemson in the ACC championship game, just because Clemson will hold the tiebreaker over SMU, and that's a weird scenario, and it was a headache for me to chase that out, and to be honest with you, I don't remember how I got on that rabbit hole, but I did.
but
But
but but we want Hank and Wake Forest to win Miami
yes,
to help us out,
yes,
right?
correct. Yeah. And if you ever want to see absolute madness, go look up at the ACC's tiebreaker scenarios because that's crazy.
Isn't that? Don't you think that like in the long run, where we could totally see chaos happen, it's going to come from the ACC.
Yeah, we that's where we could get our number three seed is
Yeah.
if the ACC gets their. I always thought it would be the Big 12 earlier in the
Mm-hmm.
season with their
Yeah.
Mexican standoff and beating each other up, but
Yeah.
they finally started doing it late in the season. Now it looks like the ACC could, in order to fight for that conference championship, there's gonna be some shakeups up at the top if the front runners aren't careful. So
I just want to mention, thinking I want to thank Milo Wary Andrus. He is already commenting, and like I said, if you comment, we're gonna air this on the show. Um, so Milo says that he thinks that BSU should be top 10, but 12 is okay. You know, is good and okay. And then his follow up was Tennessee's okay, but BSU should be ranked 11. So, um, yeah, I was thinking um, maybe 11. You know, in the
yeah,
overall CFP. But
I think
I
if
don't know.
they have Tennessee, we can segue into Tennessee right now. If they don't put up numbers against UTEP, Boise State could very well jump them if they have a letdown game. Are they going to? I doubt it. they're they're a 41.5 point favorite, but I've seen stranger things happen. But right now they've got Tennessee as a 53.8% chance to make the playoffs, but they're going to need a lot of help just to make the SEC championship. The SEC championship game likely won't be decided until the clock hits 0-0, the Texas A&M game next week. That's going to be. I saw a video of people standing out for the ticket poll for the Texas A&M game, and in the rain and standing in a foot of water. It looked like it was crazy. But I mean, it's first Lone Star Showdown since 2011, so it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Texas is now in the SEC and they're 9-1.
Yeah,
So and you got Georgia, you know, up there going for, you know, the SEC too. Um, you got Tennessee in the mix. Yeah, that.
yeah.
Yeah. So you think we'll see 3 or 4 SEC teams in the playoffs?
I think it's possible. Um, what is there right now? One, two, three, four. Yeah, I think Ole Miss is the most susceptible to losing it all. They've got who they got this week. They've got. I lost it. I had it and I lost it.
Let me pull up your. I know I just saw them. They were next on the list. They're playing Florida.
Florida. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, 5-5 Florida
and
at Florida.
Florida with Lagway is good. If they had him started at the start of the season and he didn't get injured at all, Florida would be in the mix of the SEC championship game. Maybe. That's just my opinion. But Florida with a healthy Lagway is a good football team, and that just goes to show how much a great or a good quarterback. I don't know if he's great yet. It's still early on in his career. That just shows you how much a good quarterback can change a team around. They went from being blown out um to Texas to taking LSU completely out of the playoff picture altogether and dropping them from the top 25. So Florida's coming on strong. They need one more win. And what better way to do it than get it over Ole Miss, who already has a loss to Kentucky. So that was a 3 point loss. So if they lose to another unranked team, uh, it could spell disaster for Ole Miss, drop them out of the top 12 altogether, and Boise State move up that other spot to number 11.
Yeah, because like right now we have Ole Miss at 9, um, and let me see. Let me look at their schedule here.
See,
They're
Ole
at
Miss isn't.
9.
Yeah,
They're at
Georgia's
9.
10 and Tennessee's 11.
Yeah. And then they're playing Florida 5-5, and then after that they have Mississippi State. So probably this would be the week that
Yep.
if they're gonna stub their toe,
Yeah.
maybe it's in at the Gators.
It'd be nice. But yeah, like you said, this is if they're going to stumble, it's going to be this week. Yeah, the Ole Miss right now has got a 67.6% chance to make the playoffs, and they're only a 10-point favorite against the 5-5 Florida.
Hmm.
But Florida's coming on strong, and I really do believe that if they had a healthy Lagway against Texas, it would have been a lot closer than what it was, and Florida maybe would have won.
So
Uh,
is Alabama out,
no,
or do they still have a
no.
chance?
Uh, I think a lot has to happen for Alabama to go to the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I have feral
Because I'm
cats behind me, and they just caught a bird. I don't know if y'all could hear that, but they're chirping and
no,
everything in the background.
no. Yeah, because
Oh
I'm
man,
looking at the SEC right now. We got Texas at 9-1, and then you have 4 teams at 8-2.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's crazy how muddled the SEC is right now. And if Texas loses to Texas A&M, and you have a five-way tie for first place, that's where it gets. I think if all the SEC teams that win or that should win this week, then next week the winner of the Texas A&M Texas game goes to the SEC championship game, and then there's a whole bunch of tiebreaker scenarios for second place. So, SEC is. I'm glad I don't have to choose anybody out of there to go. Uh,
and that's why it's so important that Boise State just keeps winning,
yep.
and then teams in front of us keep losing, because we don't want um, the committee to have our destiny in their hands, right?
Right, right. But we don't just want the teams in front to lose. We need go to the next one, SMU.
Mm-hmm.
They're number 13 right behind us. We need them to take a dive too. They got Virginia, who's looking to be bowl eligible, uh, and SMU's only a 10-point favorite there. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
possible that SMU could get tripped up again here.
Yeah, so SMU is 9-1. They're currently 13th in the CFP rankings. They're in that. Let's see, they're in the first bubble outside of the brackets, I believe.
Right.
And then so they're at Virginia, who's 5-5. Um, so that could be a possibility, correct?
Yeah. They're a 41.4% chance to make the playoffs, and ESPN's matchup predictor has them only a 78.2% chance to win. So, I mean, it's possible. Uh, this is a game that Clemson's going to be watching closely as well, because Clemson's already finished their ACC slate. They could lose their last 2 games of the year and still make the ACC championship game if SMU and Miami lose. Uh, Miami's got to lose once, and SMU's in the championship game, or Clemson, and then Clemson loses twice, uh, SMU loses twice. Clemson's in, so Clemson's got a couple pass to the championship game. SMU wins, and they're in it. But we'd like them to lose so they get off our backs, because that's the last thing we need is for them to jump us right at the end, and then if Miami does falter, SMU jump us, and we end up with the 4 seed anyway when we thought we were going to go 3. But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm
That's
happy with
one
the
of the
4.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where we want everything to line up to where we don't have to rely on the committee screwing us, right? Because
Right.
we've seen
Yep.
that so many times, especially in basketball. We see that so many times where we should have been like a 5 seed, and then we get like a 10,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
so yeah, we need all the help that we can get, even though it looks great, but
Yep.
that's why we're kind of going over this, because we want help. We want the magic that we have as fans, Boise State, to kind of carry over like across the nation and get that blessing, right?
Yeah. Next up, we got UMass at Georgia, another cupcake for the SEC. uh, Georgia's a 43.5 point favorite. Georgia's another one that I see they're not going to be left out of the playoffs unless they don't perform well over their last two games. Uh, I think they're a solid in. They're a 94.5% chance to win or to make it, I should say. Uh, but still, could you imagine if they lost to UMass? What hysteria that would cause?
Yeah. Yeah. So that would drop them down to 3 losses, right? So
Yep,
you
three
would
losses
think,
and a loss to a 2-win team at that.
yeah, and you would think that would bounce them, and if they did make it in, and if the committee somehow found a way to bring them in, I think that there would be hell to
I don't think that you can do that this late in the season. I can understand if it was the first of the season, like
yeah,
Notre Dame and NIU,
yeah,
where Notre Dame had the time to fight back into it. But I don't think you
mhm,
could claim
yeah,
any claim to the CFP if you lost to a 2-8 team this late in the season.
yeah. Like I said, I highly doubt that's going to happen, but if that did, that's good for
Yep.
us. Uh we want UMass to win, of course, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Will they win? Probably not, but we want them
Yeah, because
to.
I think I'm reading here you have that Georgia is a 94.5%
Yeah.
um, uh, playoff contender, and looks like um, UMass is 2-8. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
ESPN gives Georgia a 99% chance to win that game. And UMass is over there saying, so there's a chance.
yeah.
So, uh, move on to Kentucky and Texas. Texas obviously ranked number 3. They got a 93.3% chance to make the playoffs. They're surprisingly only a 20.5 point favorite. And I give that to Kentucky. Their 1 point loss to Georgia and their 3 point win over Ole Miss. Uh, this has this game this week for Texas and for Texas A&M are going to be huge trap games because, like I said, they've got the Lone Star Showdown next week for the first time since 2011. Everyone and their dog's going to be there that matters to Texas or Texas A&M, and it's going to be insane. So both Texas and Texas A&M, I have them both with trap games this week just because it's so easy to look forward to next week and lose focus on this week.
So we want Bush to bring out his A game, correct?
Yes.
Whether or not
They've
we're going to see that, I hope so.
I mean, they took out Ole Miss already. Why not
they,
Texas?
they,
And
they
they
did.
almost took out Georgia.
Yep. And this is an SEC matchup, so
Yep,
those
yep.
are usually pretty, for the most part, they're pretty good. Especially like, yeah. Let's see, that's at 2:30. Are these times Mountain Time,
Central Time.
Central? So
Yeah, yeah.
2:30. Yeah,
So it'd be
Kentucky does
1:30.
pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kentucky does pretty well in day games as
yeah,
far as I could see. Yep. Well, let's hope that Bush Hamden brings out that A game
yeah.
um, and they totally trap the
Yep.
Longhorns.
Penn State's got Minnesota. This possible trap game for Penn State too. Penn State's
Mm-hmm.
got to win out in order to have a shot at the Big Ten. Uh, they need a lot of help in front of them, though. So many different scenarios of different combinations of winning and losing to get in. Um, and if we were Big Ten fans, I would take the time to go into all that, but we're not. So the easy of it is Penn State has to win out and pray that someone else loses. Uh, but
I will
they're go ahead.
I will say that PJ Fleck is a hell of a coach,
Yeah,
um, and he's going to
unless he
have
plays Ohio State.
Yeah, but for the most part, he has his teams ready. So
Yep.
this may
Yeah,
play.
Penn State's got an 86.8% chance to make the playoffs. Um, and Minnesota's got a good, I mean, they're a 24.7% chance to win on ESPN, so they got a good shot of it.
Mhm.
Uh, whether or not they can go four quarters with them remains to be seen. So
But it
I got
seems to
my
me it seems to me that the Big Ten, you got your let's see, can we get four Big Ten teams, or are we looking at just Oregon, Ohio State? Oh no, we could have four if
yeah.
Indiana.
I think you're going to have
Did you,
four Big Ten and four SEC teams in for sure.
so do you
Uh,
think if Indiana lays an egg against Ohio State, they still make
depends
it
on
in?
depends on how big the egg is. If it's like a 21-3 or 21-0 kind of deal, they may swap places with like a Georgia or something, be down there as an 11 seed or even as a 12 seed. But I don't think they'll
Mhm.
be completely out.
Yeah, because right now you have Oregon and IU sitting at um, they're undefeated, and then you have Ohio State and Penn State with one loss.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't see how you can have a team, and obviously strength of schedule. People are going to point to that as to how they can be left out, but they've been playing well all year. I
Yeah.
don't see how they can punish them for one failed game, but they could. It could still happen.
So, but if say if Minnesota does um, upset Penn State, what does that do with Penn State? Does that because then
Yeah,
they're at two losses in the Big Ten.
right. I can see Penn State losing too. Uh, you make a valid point. Because what would that do to them? That's I
Because
never
right
thought about Penn State losing because I never gave them the chance to. I mean, I know I wrote it in there, but I never.
because right now they what did they have the eighth seed in the brackets?
Yes, no, they got the sixth seed.
Six. Okay, so
Yeah,
they're
but they're ranked
six.
number four overall, so you got to look at that too,
Right.
not just what their seeding is, but number
Yeah.
four overall. And Miami lost to unranked Georgia Tech and didn't drop out of the top 10.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. Like when Miami lost, um, and then as we were getting ready for this, I'm like looking at that. I'm like, they really didn't slip that much,
Yeah.
really.
And you got to look too at the quality opponent they're losing to. Yeah, they're unranked, but they're a bowl eligible team. So if Penn State loses to Minnesota, unless it's a complete blowout, which I don't see that happen even on Penn State's worst day, um, then even a loss to Minnesota, I don't think will drop them out of the top 12.
So even with a two loss Penn State and a one loss Indiana, you still think that there would be four Big Ten.
I think so. Uh, unless they both lose again. I mean, there's still 2 weeks left. It could
That's
happen.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so I got a second game of the week. I call it the encore, just because I couldn't pick between the Ohio State and BYU game. Obviously, we want BYU to lose, going against Arizona State, get them off our back. Um both schools are still fighting to keep their playoff chances alive. BYU's got a 30.7% chance, and Arizona State's got a 13.5% chance, and Arizona State's a 3-point favorite. So the question is BYU going to show up, or is Arizona State going to show up? And I think it really helps that this game's at Arizona State so they can have the home field advantage for it. Um, if Arizona State wins, I believe that's puts BYU out to pasture. I don't think there's another path for them to the CFP if they lose this week. So all eyes are going to be on that game as far as the ACC, or excuse me, the Big 12, um, and our chances of keeping that 4 seed. Uh, and that comes up with Colorado and Kansas. If Kansas can pull off the same upset that they did to BYU last week and put Colorado to bed, I think. Uh, yeah, there's no there's no clear path in the Big 12 or who's going to be in the conference championship right now. It'll probably clear up more this week, but Colorado, I believe, has to win out in order to get in, and Kansas could put a stop to that as well.
And
Uh,
when I originally read your post here, this game right here at
yeah,
Kansas,
yeah,
to me, that's out of all of them is a real good possibility because I think that Kansas is riding high. They went into Provo
yeah,
and punked BYU, and I'm hoping that they punk Colorado too.
yeah,
Um,
and
it
keep Hunter in check.
Yeah, yeah, because I think that with that would kill two birds with one stone, just like
Yeah,
the feral
yeah.
cats, you know.
If if BYU and Colorado both lose this week, I believe Boise State is a solid number 4, and they won't be able to be jumped unless we lose.
Right?
Um,
Yeah, we got to keep winning.
yeah. So if both those teams lose, then I would bet a salary on Boise State being a number 4 seed at least.
And then so if that were to happen, then to get a number three, then we're looking at what the ACC to kind of
Yeah,
shit the
I-
bed.
the SEC and the Big Ten are solidly 1 and 2 as far as the seeding goes. You're not going to knock them off because even if Oregon falters, Ohio State will be in there, or Indiana. If Texas falters, then you've got Georgia and Alabama and Ole Miss right there ready to take over the number 2 spot. So I just don't see any scenario where Boise State gets any higher than a 3 seed. So our best shot at a 3 seed is Miami and SMU, Clemson, and the rest of the Big 12 to keep eating at each other. And one of them can take a 4 seed and give us the 3 seed. But looking at that side of the bracket, do you want to be on that side of the bracket or do you want to be on the bracket side of the bracket we're on now? Either way, the championship is going to go through Oregon and a rematch with them one way or another if they make it to the championship game or if we end up having to play them in the semis. So uh, I think that our side of the bracket, the juggernaut being Alabama, Ohio State's proven that they could be beatable. They just haven't had the quality opponents to do it. Penn State came close, uh, I think. I, I'm not drawing their score last week to the front of my head. I can't think of it right now. But Notre Dame, they've proven they're beatable. Alabama's proven beatable this year. But Georgia's coming on strong. They're trying to make a point. Texas has been strong all year. Indiana's been strong all year. Penn State's got a hell of a defense. And they've been strong all year. I think that the side of the bracket we're on now with the 4 seed is actually the easier side when in comparison to the other side. That's just my
Right.
opinion. Other
And
people may say,
it's closer. I mean, you got the
yeah,
Fiesta Bowl. It's
right.
better for traveling, or else you're gonna go to the Peach Bowl? Or is it the Bowl? Peach Bowl, right?
Peach Bowl. Yeah.
If
I
we
want
got number three,
I wouldn't mind the Cotton Bowl. I might actually go to that game.
that's in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. so
um, so do you think I was just looking at the rankings here, like so if Indiana were to beat Ohio State, do you think that they would just
I do.
um, swap numbers?
I do. Um, they may not even swap. They may Indiana move up one or two spots, and Ohio State move down one or two spots. They may move um Penn State into the number 3 spot, and then move Texas to 2, Penn State to 3, and then Indiana to 4, and Ohio 5, or Ohio 4. Now they can't keep Indiana at 5, so I don't think that uh, Indiana will jump to 2, but I think Ohio State will drop to 5.
If
If
anybody out there that's watching, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments, and we'll air them on here and try to. If you're confused on what we're talking about, like with the seeds and the rankings, be happy to help if you're kind of confused. I know they're really confusing the way that, if you're not used to this kind of layout, which none of us were, um, uh, but that's why we have it up on the screen. That so it's a little bit easier to kind of comprehend that way. So let's talk about Notre Dame and
Yep,
Army.
that is my game of the night, game of the week, evening edition. If Army can beat Notre Dame, and I was listening to the Mountain West Conference. They were talking. I can't remember his name. The guy that does the Mountain West Conference updates. He was talking to the other lady. I can't remember her name, from ESPN, that does the Group of Five stuff. Uh, they were making note that the 4 seed was Boise State's to lose, and that the Big 12 and Army were too far below to be able to catch up. So that got me to thinking, how much weight is the CFP really going to put on Army beating Notre Dame, or Notre Dame losing to Army? So ideally, I would want Notre Dame to lose and uh, Army to move up just a little, not a lot. But I don't know how the CFP committee's been so weird in their rankings that I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to view that. And so I put this as wanting Notre Dame to win, because if they lose to a number 19 Army, it's not a bad loss, and they won't drop out of the top 12 anyway. Notre Dame cannot take a 1 through 4 seed because they're not in a conference. So it really doesn't matter at this point where they're at on the rankings. The only way it matters is if we lose that 4 seed and we're vying for a home playoff game. Uh,
And that comes into the question that Dale Roberts just posted. And in that case, like, so if if Army wins Notre Dame, right, and things kind of shuffle, and we lose the number 4, then are we looking at a home playoff game in the
it
first round?
it's possible, but a lot of teams that aren't going to lose will need to lose. I think that maybe after conference championship games, we might see a little bit of movement where that could put us in the 5 to 8 slot. But unless there's some upsets, I don't see that happening. Um, I think that the best we're going to get outside of a 4 seed is a 9 or 10 seed, and we'll still be just outside. There's just too many good football teams in front of us that aren't going to lose the games that we want them to lose, but we hope that they'll lose.
So, but we want Notre Dame to win just to give us that insurance, right? That we don't
Yeah,
get bounced.
right. Because there's no telling how much weight the CFP will put on Army winning.
Because right now they are 9-0. They're going up against a 9-1 Notre Dame. They had that season opener gaff, but since then, they've won 9 in a row.
Yep.
Army right now is currently number 19 in the CFP, so they're looming about 7 spots back from us. So they go in and they beat a number 6 Notre Dame. That's a pretty good win.
Depending on how bad they beat. If it's a close game, they move up 2 or 3 spots, maybe 4. If it's a blowout win, they could probably move up further. It just depends on the other results as well. Because there could be, you could have South Carolina, Clemson, and Colorado all lose. There's 3 spots they're going to move up right there if they win. Uh, so it's just going to come down to the teams in front of them winning or losing versus the teams that they beat. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they've played too many quality opponents this year. If you have that pulled up, their schedule,
Army.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
I think Notre Dame's their only quality opponent this year
Let's
until
see.
they make their conference champion.
Yeah. So okay. So they're in the AAC. So there's the only way that we would be jumped by them is if they are a higher ranked group of 5 team, correct? Because
Correct.
they wouldn't be a Power 4 conference champion winner.
Right.
Let me take a look at who they've won. So yeah, um, they've won Lehigh, FAU, it's decent. Rice, Temple, Tulsa, UAB, East Carolina, Air Force, North Texas. That's a pretty good win. North Texas is all right. And then
North Texas has been their best win. So if they beat Notre Dame, then yeah, they'll. And I have a hard time saying using strength of schedule arguments for teams that have weak strength of schedules, just because everyone uses that for Boise State. And we all know Boise State's have great teams that their strength of schedule does not reflect how great their team is. Ask Oklahoma.
yeah.
So I can't make that strength of schedule argument with any kind of conviction because I know how much we hated it whenever it was made against us. So
right. In the WAC days, yeah.
yeah. So I just think that if we win and take care of business and win out, I don't think Army can jump us. They're too low no matter what happens with Notre Dame. The only
Now,
way we
saying that,
don't. Yep,
but saying that, if we win out, do we still need Oregon to keep winning?
I believe so. That
Okay.
helps solidify. I don't think we're the 4 seed if Oregon's isn't the 1 seed.
Right. So here's another kind of, so say Oregon slips up once, right? And Army wins Notre Dame, are they going to jump us?
I don't think so. No, not this late in the season. That goes back
I hope
to
not.
Notre Dame losing to NIU at the start of the season versus
Yeah.
an SEC team losing to a cupcake at the end of the season. Oregon's not going to play I say they're not going to play a cupcake, but they've got Oregon State. Nope, they already played Oregon State. Who do they have this week? What am I missing?
They they are playing.
Oh, they're on a bye week this week, aren't they? No, that was last week. Sorry. Nope, they're on a bye this week. Yeah, so they're not going to lose this week.
Yeah. So we so we can table that for the time being.
Yeah, yeah. So, and they've already locked in the Big 12 championship. So, I mean, they're going to have another game to recover if they lose next week. So, I just don't see. I don't see them losing one and then turn around and win the Big 12 champion or Big 10 championship. Even if they lose the Big 10 championship as their only loss on the season, I still don't think it affects us that much.
Yeah. I'm just pulling up right now who they're playing next, and they are playing Washington on the 30th. Washington 6-5.
Yeah. It's good that Washington's bowl eligible now and they don't have to fight for bowl eligibility in that game.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we want Notre Dame to keep on winning, right?
Yeah,
And
unfortunately. I'd love to root for Army, but I don't want to take that risk.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we said, we don't want to give the committee any chance to, pull a
Yeah.
fast one on us.
Washington State went ahead and left their playoff chances die last week whenever they let New Mexico beat them. Uh,
Yeah.
but if they win their last two games, they can still crack back into that top 25 and give us three opponents in the top 25 that we beat or played. Two of them that
Mhm.
we've beat.
Yeah.
Alabama and Oklahoma. I I almost see this as a trap game for Alabama if Oklahoma wasn't so bad on offense. uh, they need to find a run game desperately, but they are fighting for bowl eligibility, so they could show up and pop Alabama in the teeth and help the SEC race for second place. Then out, that would be amazing because I don't think that a three-loss Alabama with one of their losses coming to OU will stay in the top 12. That could drop Alabama down to 13.
Do you think if they did get upset um, by Oklahoma, would that kill Alabama's chance at the playoffs? Because that would
I
put them
think
down to
so.
what, three losses, right?
Yeah, and they've got Auburn would be the only other team left on their schedule, and that's not a quality win to make a statement to put them back up. Uh, and they likely wouldn't be in the SEC championship game unless a slew of other people lost as well. So if
So
Alabama loses,
so so if that happened, right, wouldn't that essentially open up a spot for maybe an at-large?
yeah, it'd probably bring the Tennessee. If Tennessee wins out, if they're on a bubble team, it'll probably bring them into
Mm-hmm.
the picture,
Yeah, yeah,
or the
because
runner-up
they're
of
on
the
this.
ACC.
They're Tennessee right now is in the second bubble behind
Yeah,
SMU,
yeah, and it could, like I said, it could bring up the ACC runner-up. Could crack the bubble too.
and that may be
There,
between SMU and Clemson, right?
yeah, yeah. There is a lot of movement to be had in these final 2 weeks as the playoff comes
Mm-hmm.
to the playoff anticipation comes to a close. Uh, it's going to be a fun couple weeks of football. If the right people get upset, it
Yeah.
could shake off. It could shake off the entire bracket as we see it right now. It could shake it
Mm-hmm.
all up, and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I'm here for the
because
chaos.
there's a lot of ball. Like there's still 3 games, right? Because you got 2 games on this schedule for most teams, and then
Right.
then you got your championships.
Yep.
And so, like for Boise State, we're looking at we want to go 1-0 for 3 more weeks.
Yep.
You know,
And that's going to be so huge to have that 4 seed for getting Genty healthy, maybe even able to get his brace off his arm where he can run and stiff arm like he used to. And his only fumble of the season, you could tell it's because that ball was up against his brace. But getting some linemen back, some defenders back, it's I'm really hoping that 4 seed holds out because a whole new team would take the field against either Ohio State or BYU if the bracket stands as it does today. So we need everybody back that we can get back if we're going to make a deep run in the playoffs.
right? Yeah, and I'm hearing murmurs of possibly Sire Gaines being you know maybe
Yeah,
healthy enough to help us with the playoff push. He'd be burning his red shirt, but I just I don't see that making a difference to him. It's like we have some great personnel on our team that they don't care about their red shirt right now. You got
yeah,
Dylan Riley who's burned his, and
yeah.
they all just want to win. So yeah, that and then we have some
Don't we have
linemen
Breezy
with.
back too? Dubar?
Yeah, he's coming back,
Yeah,
but the thing is, it's like it seems like every time they give him the ball, there's like 2 people in the backfield. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, he's probably got to get some more time to get that lower leg injury
right.
100%, and it doesn't help when you get the ball and there's like you're getting wrapped up,
Yeah.
So
So my Number one trap game of the week is Texas A&M at Auburn. And I didn't write it in here, but just as we were talking, it came to me. This is a trap game for both teams because you got Texas A&M has the possibility of looking ahead to Texas and having Auburn jump up and bite them in the rear, and then you've got Auburn looking ahead to Alabama
Mm-hmm.
and maybe say, "Oh, Texas A&M, we're going to get beat. Let's not play our hardest so that we're not injured for Alabama because that's their
Yeah, they
game.
will.
Like
Yeah.
you that if you don't win a game all year, win that game. So that's so it's a trap game for both teams. But I'd really love to see Auburn knock off A&M, just so A&M is dejected going in playing Texas because I think if they are both ranked and A&M beats Texas next week, I really think A&M could force their way into the top 12 as well. Now, as a conference champion, they could force their way all they want if Boise State is a conference champion because it doesn't matter. They're in. Uh, the next highest conference champion would be Army if they stay undefeated, and I don't think or one loss to Notre Dame, and I don't think Army's going to move up enough to jump us. So basically, we win our conference championship game, and there's no way to lose to be left out of the conference the CFP, excuse me. So, but
Yeah,
that's going to be a fun game.
because you're looking at um, yeah, the SEC. You got 1 9-1 team, and then you got like 4 or 5. Yeah, there's 5 8-2
Yeah,
teams behind there, and then you got kind of. It looks like um, the way that they have these situated in ESPN. You've got Texas A&M up above Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama, and Ole Miss, but in the CFP rankings, you got um, all those teams above Texas A&M. So this could be a trap for them
yeah,
for sure because they're looking up, they look beyond Auburn, and they yeah, and then they're like you said, they're eyeing Texas next week, correct?
yep.
Yep.
So it's going to be a really fun couple of weeks of football. I'm anxious to watch it all. I almost want to hit that fast forward button, but at the same time, can you believe we're almost to championship conference championship football? I mean, the season just started last week, and we're already at the end of it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Um, and I'll tell you, from my vantage point, being the admin of Bronco Nation updates, um, there's been so much excitement this year. We've seen membership counts go through the roof. From we usually have a lull, like in
Yeah,
the off season, but like as soon as August 31st, like that week hit, like we were trending about 1,000 per month at least,
yeah,
and so yeah, it's exciting times for Boise State. But the main thing is for the team, they need to just win.
yep.
They need to win.
I agree.
Just win. And then
And
us fans, we can speculate all we want and have fun with this because
yeah,
this is what it's all about, man.
yep. To your note of so much buzz around the program, the Danish was the lady I was or Danish. Anyway, the ESPN lady,
Mm-hmm.
uh, she made mention that Genty's a household name on the East Coast. Like everybody knows about Genty on the East Coast, which is great
Yeah,
because that just means that we're getting that East Coast recognition that we haven't gotten in the past
yeah.
because of how late we play. So, uh, two more quick games before we get to the game that everybody wants to talk about. Air Force in Nevada. No team can make the playoffs and no team can have a winning season. But if Nevada wins, it gives us just that minuscule amount of extra strength of record. And then Colorado State at Fresno State. Colorado State's basically a win out, and you're in to the Mountain West Conference championship game against
Mm-hmm.
Boise State. So and Fresno State's not going to make it easy on them. Uh, Fresno State's fighting for bowl eligibility, so that'll probably be a really interesting nightcap game if you're looking for something to watch to fall asleep to. Well, if you want to fall asleep, you probably want to go watch Air Force in Nevada. If you want to stay up a little longer, Colorado State and Fresno State might do it. But the game that everybody really cares about this week, that is number 12 Boise State at Wyoming over in Laradice. Boise State's a 23.5 point favorite, and there's 76% chance to win the or get in the playoffs. I know a lot of people say that save our starters for the playoffs and everything, but and go in and pull them out at halftime or third quarter. We cannot do that this week, especially. We have two common opponents with Wyoming. BYU beat Wyoming 34-14, and Arizona State beat Wyoming 48-7. That means if we want to keep them below us in the rankings,
Mm-hmm.
we have to beat them by as much or more as what those two schools beat them. Which means if we're not up 56-0 in the third quarter, you keep the starters in until we are. Because we can get jumped by SMU or BYU if BYU keeps winning, or even Arizona State if Arizona State moves up. If they look at common opponents and say, well, these schools did more damage to Wyoming than what Boise State did
So
earlier in
Wyoming,
the year.
so BYU beat Wyoming by 20 points,
Yep.
and Arizona State crushed Wyoming by 41
Yep.
points.
Yep.
So, and then right now, BSU is ranked 12th,
Yep.
BYU is ranked 14th, and Arizona State is 21. So we at least want to match that 20-point
Yes.
margin that BYU
Right.
beat Wyoming by.
We cannot let off the gas early in the third quarter and let Wyoming put up some trash touchdowns, because the committee's going to take note of that. They look at common opponents just as much as anything else, and we if we don't put up the points against Wyoming that the other two schools did, I don't think that riding Oregon's coattail is going to help us much. And you could see the schools like SMU that is one spot behind us jump us and us lose that 4 seed and end up having to play in the first round instead of getting that 25-day break that we desperately need to get some players healthy.
Right. So this is going to come down to, again, Boise State needs to do whatever they can to keep their destiny out of the committee's hands.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. Pedal to the metal and don't let off till that scoreboard reads 0-0-0.
Right. And then I don't know if you remember, but remember in 2022, we were down in Laramie and we had a scare.
Yeah.
And gratefully, JL Skinner turned off the game for us. Remember, he had those two picks.
Yeah.
That basically he turned the game off for us. So like it's not a given. It's, even though they only have 2 wins, they're 2-8.
Yeah.
It's not a given. And so, for the team, they need to go into each game. We need to win, and
Yep.
we need and like you said with this one, you do need to kind of pay attention to some of those variables to keep it out of the committee's hands. So we need to win, and we need some at least 20 style points.
Yep.
To
We need to win decisively. Leave no question.
Right.
And side quest, Aston Genty needs to put up about 300 yards so he can break the record in the Mountain West Championship game. which it's not completely out of the question, given Wyoming is what are their geez, where'd it go? I just had it in my eyes and I lost it. There it is. Wyoming is 116th in the nation against the run, giving up 201 yards a game. So if Genty goes in and does what Genty does, then it's not out of the question for him to put up 300. Um, Gets a little harder next week against Oregon State. They're ranked 104, giving up 182.6 yards per game. So he can put up some monster numbers these next 2 weeks, and he's got a legitimate shot. It may be an
We,
outside shot, but it's legitimate at breaking the record in the Mountain West Championship game.
I don't know if you saw it, but we have a couple pledges out there by some members that they made a pledge if if Ashton runs for 300 yards and scores 3 touchdowns. One member said that he would donate 10 grand to Blue
Nice,
Elevation, and then another member said, "Hey, I'm going to pick up a train and hopefully people follow me. I'll put in a grand,
nice.
to Blue Elevation." So that's kind of riding on there. I'm hoping to see that. That'd
Yeah,
be awesome
yeah,
for our nonprofit. But
yeah,
um, if I mean it's doable against, I think it's doable against Wyoming, especially if say the weather is kind of nasty. Like because I
yeah,
remember in 2022, I believe it was George Halani just ran up and down their ass in
yeah,
that game.
yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, our defense kind of let him come back, and that's why we had to kind of depend on um, District Zero to shut the game off.
Right.
Um, but we've had, we don't have a problem running up and down on Wyoming. So um, I'm hoping that like I would love to see him do that. Not only for our nonprofit, but I would like to see him um, break the record. Doesn't he? He does. He could, even if he didn't break it by the the Mountain West Championship. If he if he averages like close to 200 from here on out, including a playoff game, he could break it. Correct?
Yeah, it's 286 to break it in the Mountain West Championship game. He's 245 yards to tie the record in the Mountain West Championship game.
If he averages 245,
Yeah,
I
that'd
mean,
be 245 against Wyoming, 245 against uh, Oregon State, and 245 in the Mountain West Championship game. And Colorado State's got a much stouter uh, run average than the other two, so I don't think he's going to get break 200 against Colorado State. Uh, he needs to average 183.7 to tie the record in the bowl game, the first CFP game.
right. Um,
So
which to me sounds more realistic. Um, Albeit he'll have more games to do it than Barry Sanders did, but
yeah.
I
Well,
would
the thing
I'm
is,
still taking it.
even since they started adding postseason play in 2002, no one's come close to it. Like they haven't sniffed it at all.
Right.
So for him to be this close to it, he's done something that no one's done since Barry Sanders. I mean, and he still has 88 carries until he reaches Barry Sanders rushing yards. He ran for he did 44 carries against oh geez, who was it? It was not Wyoming. He rushed for 44 against I don't have it right there. Dang it. Anyway, like his second to last game of the year, he rushed for 44 times for like 322 yards or something like that. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it
Mm-hmm.
was ungodly numbers and ungodly carries. And people are like, "Oh, well, he's not doing it as much as he's put up more yards early in the season than what Barry did early in his
Yeah.
season."
Yeah.
And
Um,
I wasn't alive. Well, I was alive back then, but I wasn't anywhere near interested in in college football back then, so I don't
Mhm.
know what the teams were like or strength of schedules and stuff like that. But I do know.
Barry Sanders was my favorite
Oh yeah,
player growing up. I When I was in high school and playing ball, I'm shorter, so I'm right around his size.
yeah,
I did those jukes. I did I did the 360s. I did all that. I did
yeah,
the duck and the defender would fly over my head, stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I think it's comparable. I just think that if there's anything that they might say, it's just that the extra games, right?
yeah,
But if you actually look at it, and if you've been around, you know, this season, you the big difference between Barry Sanders and what he did and what Ashton Genty's doing is Genty's getting touched, right?
yep,
He's broke 105 tackles.
yeah. That's insane.
He's got he's got over 1,300 yards after contact.
Yeah,
It's absurd. So they kind of, to me, even though he has a couple extra yards or a couple extra games, it kind of washes to me. It
yeah,
does.
yeah. Oh, I
And
agree.
and Barry Sanders is my favorite, right?
Yeah.
So
A- And like I said, he still has 88 carries until he ties Barry Sanders carries. So he all he's got to do is average 8.3 yards a carry for the next 88 carries, and he ties the record in as many tries as what Barry had to set it. So I don't know. I think it's possible. It's going to be close, but I think it's possible.
right, yeah, I think it is with that bowl game, and say we do win, you know, a playoff game, then he's got another game, right?
Yep. Yep.
And he could put it out of reach. Um,
Yeah.
um, so I just want to talk to the viewers, everyone who's watched. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Uh, I told Sam earlier that I'm kind of an interim host, but I'm gonna kind of put that up in the air. Maybe I'll change my mind, but we do want to kind of add this kind of content to. I call it the Empire, the Bronco Nation Updates Empire, um, uh, and because I follow all the sports, so I kind of like to do this, but I need some more reps, and um, if I did continue to do this, I'm looking for people who are like Sam, who are who know their stuff. They're balanced. We can be fans, right? But we can also respect other people's opinions and that stuff. And that's kind of why I chose Sam's, because I can see his content in there, and I like fans that are passionate about the team, but I also like fans that are respectful for other people and have a emotional balance to it. And then because we can use our emotions and that fanaticism at the games. That's what I want. Uh, so I don't know if you're watching this or you watch this and you're or rewatching this. Send me a DM and let me know if you enjoyed this. And let me know if there's anything that we can make better. I'm a big boy, so I can take constructive criticism. And like I said, if it's not me that hosts these, I'm going to be looking for somebody to do something like this, and then because I really think that this could bring some great value to Bronco Nation updates and the whole platform that we have. But I want to thank you, Sam, for sharing your cheer guides. Perhaps we'll do this next week if you
Yeah.
want. Um,
Next week, I think I'm going to be focusing on just the teams that have a shot at the playoffs. There's other Mountain West Conference teams, but they're not going to do much of anything for us, save the likes of Washington State and maybe Georgia Southern for strength of record. But everyone else, they're pretty much uh, non factors at this point. So I'm going to focus on the people that are going to help us the most. Won't be quite as long a list of teams to watch for, but they're going to be teams that have the most impact on Boise State moving up in the rankings.
okay, yeah. So let's make a plan to do this again next week. Even though it's it's outside the realm that I usually do. Like you guys know that I do a lot of content creation, so this is kind of foreign to me, but I still enjoyed what we did here. I'm really good at asking questions and kind of diving deeper into things, and so that so not only I learn more, that other people can learn through my questioning and stuff. So I do want, before we leave, I do want to thank all the companies that are on the Serving Bronco Nation directory, uh, because of what you guys do. You guys are helping out the student athletes at Boise State. So if you're a company out there, or somebody who wants to be an influencer or a content creator and you want to get noticed, um, donate through Blue Elevation, get on the Serving Bronco Nation directory, and I'll do what I do, and I'll get your name out there and get you those views, um, and it's a win-win. It helps your company, and it also helps our student athletes at Boise State. I'm specifically grateful for our newest icon member, Boosted Oxygen Water. Um, uh, they came on last month, and that's like our highest plan. But we can work out monthly installments, and like I said, that those investments go to Boise State, and then you're along for the ride for our empire here at Bronco Nation Update. So if you get a chance, they just launched in Walmart. You can go online and order through the app. Just key in Boosted Oxygen Water and support those companies that support Boise State. You can also go to their website too. But yeah, they launched across the country at Walmart. So go in there and help them out. I appreciate them. They've helped me out with some of the content that I've been able to create. And I actually, a couple weeks ago, James gave me some lyrics, and I created the Aston Genty Heisman anthem. Not sure if you've seen it, but it's
Yeah.
out there, and it's getting shared quite a bit, and I kind of like it. And hopefully that just continues to explode and gets to the right people, the committees that vote for Heisman, and so I'm really appreciative of Boosted Oxygen Water, great company, great product. I'm a runner, and I drink it, and I feel the difference in my performance. So thanks for joining me, Sam, and
Yes, sir.
thanks again, Bronco Nation, for watching. We would really love to grow our YouTube and our X account. So if you can go to YouTube and X and give us a follow, greatly appreciate it. Everything that we do is for Boise State. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.